Well, it's a great pleasure to be joined by one Hannah Thomas. She is a great vocalist who is has recently been nominated for a Canadian Folk Music Award under the category of Young Performer of the Year. And now she is attending Humber College. How are you today, Hannah? And I'm glad you got
I'm
to join the
great.
show.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty fine. It is 10 in the evening here, and I'm guessing it's probably 11 a.m. where you are.
Yes, it's 11 a.m. where we are here.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
so you recently started college, higher education. How do you feel
Yeah.
about that?
It feels pretty good. I started this past week. Classes started yesterday, so I had two classes yesterday.
Mhm.
They were very fun. Anyway, but yeah, I really like being here. I've never really lived in a big city before. I was born in Stratford, Ontario, which is like 2 hours from Toronto.
Mhm.
And it's been good so far. It's been a little different than what I'm used to, but I think I'm getting used to the vibe of the whole big city thing. And yeah, no, I like it so far.
Oh,
So
cool. So I'm guessing you're in Toronto, right?
yeah, I'm in Toronto, or it's Etobicoke, which is part of Toronto. It's like just outside of Toronto. It takes about like half an hour to get to the downtown core of Toronto from where
Right.
I am in Toronto. So it's nice that I'm not right in the middle of the big city because that would be a little bit more overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, no, Etobicoke's nice. It's not as built up as Toronto, like it's still a part of Toronto, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's not quite as like in your face. But I really like it so far.
Yeah. 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 I do remember the my first year in Canada too, because I recently came back from Canada after 4 year undergraduate studies, and you just
Mhm.
started it. And Humber College was one of the places which I applied to, but I didn't get in. So, but I did
Oh,
got into a university called Trent, which is in Peterborough.
oh yeah, I know Trent University.
Yeah,
Cool. Yeah, I've heard of that.
yeah, it's a pretty nice campus. There's a
Uh,
river that flows through it, and we get to swim there once every often. Yeah.
oh, that's great.
So you grew up in Stratford, Ontario, and how the only thing I've heard about it so far is that is where Shakespeare performances are held there, and it's based on the town in which Shakespeare was born. And I'm a great big fan of Shakespeare. I got to learn him and his works extensively in my probably my second or third year in university. So yeah, tell me about
Yeah.
growing up there.
Well, growing up in Stratford, honestly, it kind of everything like that was just so normal to me. Like living in Stratford hit me as soon as I moved away. I was like, oh, like we don't have this anymore. We don't have this. Like
Mhm.
Stratford, it's a small town. There's about 36,000 people. Like it's a city, town, whatever you want to call it. It's where Justin Bieber was born. So that's
Right.
how a lot of people know about it. And we're also really known for our world-class theaters. So the Stratford Festival of Canada, and yeah, there are a lot of Shakespeare plays as well as musicals. And I was in a musical at the Avon Theater
Mm.
called Carousel when I was 12 years old, I believe. So that's kind of when I started. But no, Stratford is honestly, it's amazing. Like the downtown is so beautiful, and there's so many great restaurants to eat, as well as like activities happening all year round. Like there's stuff in the winter, there's Winterfest, there's little festivals, and in the summer, it's just bustling with tourists coming to the theater and just like experiencing all that Stratford has to offer. Like it's a great town to live in. So, and the river is really nice too. We live right on the river, so we
Wow.
go kayaking and paddleboarding and everything. So it's really beautiful.
Mhm. Yeah, coming to Peterborough, that was where I live, was probably the first time that I really experienced what a small town is like, because I live in Vietnam, Hanoi actually, which is a very big city, and which is just getting
Yeah.
bigger by the minute. And I've only known what it's like to live in a big city for the bulk of my life. And in my travels, I either went to either different big city or a rural area, or even or maybe a smaller city. Uh, most most of the time,
Yeah.
our family travels. It's to the beach because Vietnam has a very long coastline, and but the towns
Mm.
or the areas that are close to the beach are often pretty rural. So yeah, tell us what it's like,
Yeah.
living, growing up in a small town like Stratford.
I think it's so fun because you walk down the street and everyone knows each other. Like
Mhm,
you run into like 10 different people just at the grocery store, which I found so different. Like here, I don't really know anyone. Like I've made some friends and stuff, which is really nice, but like I've never seen the same person twice since I've been here. And in Stratford, you might see the same person like 3 or 4 times a week, just like running into them on the street. So it's really nice growing up in a small town because like you get to know your whole street and your neighborhood so well. And it just feels like it feels so homey. And I don't know, I'm still getting used to the big city, but I definitely miss Stratford.
mhm. Yeah, I like to visit
So
that place someday, mainly because of my exquisite love for Shakespeare. Yeah,
yeah.
tell us about the Shakespeare stuff that goes down there. Have you attended any of the performances?
Well, there's sorry.
Yeah, have you attended any of the Shakespeare
Yes, I
performances?
have. We live Yeah, I saw Hamlet when it was on and it was absolutely amazing.
Mhm.
It was so well done. And I've seen some other ones when I was a little bit younger when I was acting in the theater, but I forget what ones I saw. We live right across the river from the Tom Patterson Theater. So actually during COVID, there would be plays on and there would be like Shakespeare playing and they would have like musicals. And so we would actually like sit on our dock on the water and you could grab a pair of binoculars and you could hear it across the river and like watch the show because they had an outdoor theater during COVID. So people could be outside and not inside due to COVID. And so we could actually hear and see like the Shakespeare plays that were happening right across the river, which was like so incredibly cool.
Yeah,
So
wow.
that was really cool. It was like a free show,
Mhm.
every night. So yeah, we would watch that. And yeah, I would love to get even more involved with the theater community. Like there's so many talented actors who live right in Stratford, like our neighbors. They're like huge actors. They've been on TV and like in theater performances on Broadway. And it's just crazy how much talent there is, like right a few blocks away from us. So,
Mhm.
yeah, but the theater is definitely so one of a kind in Stratford. Yeah, you definitely have to come see a theater play in Stratford.
I
It's
love to do
great.
that. Yeah. So tell us about the program which you're attending at Humber.
Yeah, so it's the Bachelor of Music program. So my instrument is voice. So that's what I'll be studying for 4 years.
Mhm.
So to get in, as you know, you have to like send in an audition and like do an ear training and a theory test and all that fun stuff. But anyway, I'm very lucky to have been accepted to the program. And so far, it's been really great. I've only had 3 classes. I had an online class this morning because the teacher of the voice program is currently on tour. She's in BC.
Wow.
So she'll be back next week, though, and we're going to have our classes in person. But yesterday, both my classes were in person. So I had theory and ear training, which they kind of go hand in hand. They're pretty similar.
Mhm.
But I'm super excited for the performance aspect of it because I love performing. That's probably the highlight of the program when I read about it. So, and I'm just really excited to kind of expand my knowledge on like songwriting and collaborating with other people because I do lots of solo performances back at home and in surrounding areas, but I don't get the chance to necessarily collaborate with other artists in
Mhm.
like let's say songwriting or performances. So yeah, I'd love to do some duets with people and learn more about how to audio engineer your own tracks and do the mixing and mastering on the big soundboard. So that's really fascinating to me. So I think we'll learn about that in the next few years. But this year and semester right now, it's focused kind of on learning the basics about like songwriting and collaborating with your peers and just kind of, finding your way into the music scene in Toronto. So I'm really excited for all the classes I have that I haven't gone to yet because, yeah, it's going to be a nice time. So I'm excited.
Okay. So I'm guessing this is your first experience like living far away from home. Of course, you probably get to go home every weekend or so, but yeah.
Yeah.
How was the move from Stratford to Toronto?
Oh, the movie is good. It went actually very smoothly. You could park right outside. So
Oh,
anyway, we just took the stuff in and yeah, it was really easy actually. And I got my student card and everything like that. But yeah, no, the move was really good. My parents miss me and I miss living in Stratford, but like I FaceTime them pretty much every day. So,
mhm.
and I can go home. It's not that far. So I can just take the GO train home or something like that. I didn't bring my car because parking in Toronto was extremely expensive. So I just thought there's lots of other ways to get around, especially in a bigger city. They've got many different ways of transit. So, but yeah, no, the move here, it was really good. And I love my room and I've met people and yeah, so it's
Mhm.
good.
Yeah, so yeah, I just recently got my driver's license, so I'm guessing you probably got yours already.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I do love taking the GO train too. I would, yeah, take the GO train whenever I need to go to Toronto. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fun experience. Um,
Yeah. It's nice.
yeah, and I remember my first year of living by myself was particularly difficult because of the massive distance between where I used to live and where I would be
Yeah.
living. So, but let's talk about the music that you've made. So it was it's a Christmas album, your debut album. Why did you decide that would
Yeah.
be your first set of songs that was put under the Hannah Thomas name?
Well, I was discussing it with my parents for a little while, and then my friend and like mentor, Dana Manning, she lived pretty close to me at the time. We had all kind of thought of, and I remember she said a Christmas album would be a great idea because it's something that people listen to every year. So you can promote it and people will buy it like every year. It's not just like a one-time thing that then fizzles out. Christmas comes every year. So
Mhm.
people are always love listening to Christmas music. So I thought that it would be a great idea to do a Christmas album. And so we started the recording process and everything like that, getting all the instrumentalists lined up and everything figured out. So Dana Manning's the producer on the album, and the album is just incredible. I'm so happy with how it turned out, and it's got a great response from the city of Stratford and other people. And yeah, people have bought it from different countries. So I'm like, I think that's pretty cool. But there's also some songs on the album that aren't actual Christmas songs, but we arranged them so they had like a Christmassy feel. So they're songs that you can listen to all year round, technically. So it's kind of like a big variety for everything that people like to listen to. So yeah.
Yeah, I have a younger brother who listens to holiday music, Christmas music all year long. So I think yours is a great, you know, a great fit for him. So
Yeah.
the album is titled "Christmas Don't Be Late," and it was released in 2020. Right,
Yeah.
and that is right in the middle of pandemic season. So,
Yeah.
so did you get to perform any of these songs live?
I did get to perform a couple live. It was more of like a live stream. So I had my Christmas album release
Right.
party, which party. It wasn't really a party. It was a live stream event that people could watch. We hosted it at Revival House, which is a local beautiful like restaurant and event venue in Stratford. It used to be a church, and the acoustics in there are amazing. So we thought it would be a great place to have the CD launch.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, lots of people watched online, and I made a music video for one of the songs with Ballerin Entertainment, um, for the first song on the album called I'll Be Home, which is by Megan Trainor.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyway, all of the songs on the album are cover songs, and then some, so they're like some classics, but then we took the classics and we made them our own. So it didn't sound quite like the original version. So it's kind of like a spin on all of the classic Christmas songs and then some different Christmas songs that not many people know. So it's a great variety, but yeah, the recording process was really fun.
Mhm. Yeah, I particularly love your rendition of the "I'll Be Home" song. I haven't heard the
Yeah,
original, but the first time I've heard it is, it's your version, and I love it a lot.
thank you.
Yeah. So I'm guessing before the actual album launch, you show it to different people to listen to it. So who were the first listeners of your album, and what did they think about it?
Well, the first listener was me, obviously. And then my parents listened to it first, and my mom almost started crying because she thought it was so amazing.
Mhm.
And then some other people who listened to it before it was officially released were everyone who worked on the album. They got to listen to it, as well as, I'm just trying to think of who all listened to it. My grandma, and then a couple people who were helping me with promoting the album. So just a couple local people in town. So yeah, not too many people got to listen to it before it was released, but yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So, I've mentioned that you were nominated for a CFMA
Yeah.
award, and I've actually had on this podcast some of the other nominees as well as the winner of the award too. And in many cases, they were, their parents were very much involved in their, I guess, their musical pathways. I'm
Yeah.
guessing your parents are as well.
Yes, very, especially my mom. My
Mhm.
dad does so much as well, but my mom is so incredibly helpful. She does all the stuff that you wouldn't even think of behind the scenes, all the emailing and the bookings and the arranging times for things. She does everything. So I am so thankful to have her on my team because she's always been on my team and like
Mhm.
helping me through all of my music endeavors. So yeah, I'm really lucky to have her. She definitely helps with everything. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, we're nothing without our mothers and fathers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, are your parents like musical people?
They're not like trained in music or anything, but I think our whole family is fairly musical. All of us sing. So we'll just be around the house and we make songs out of everything. We're such a musical family. We sing in the car, we sing around the house. My mom loves to opera sing.
Oh,
Uh, and yeah, my dad loves singing as well. I did this. He's actually on the Christmas album.
mhm.
He does a duet with me called The Prayer, which is originally by Celine Dion and Andrea Bocelli. So he
Right.
does the Andrea Bocelli part and I do the Celine Dion. So yeah, our entire family is very musical. So all of us are good singers, I would say.
Mhm. That would be Dale Thomas, right? Your father.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I enjoyed that song as well. It's incredible. And I wonder, I'm guessing you did grow up with Christmas music, with you. Which of the songs,
Yeah.
really struck you as a child? Yeah, you really liked. Which of the songs you really like?
Off the Christmas album.
That you listened to as a kid.
Um, we listened to like a lot of kind of jazzy Christmas music. We would just have it playing in the living room. So like, oh, I can't even remember the names, but like gets in Galberto or whatever.
Oh, wow.
I
Yeah.
forget. But yeah, that's his name. And then there's like Dean Martin,
Mhm.
and lots of other people who have Christmas albums. So yeah, we would just play them in the living room while we were playing board games or whatever near Christmas. So yeah, I kind of grew up with Christmas music. I've always loved it. I think it's so cheerful. So yeah.
Mhm. So at what age did you thought of yourself as, a vocalist who sings in public rather than the shower as we all do?
Um, well, I'm not sure what age I started thinking of myself as an actual vocalist, probably around like 13 or 14 years old, but I started earlier, when I was 11 or 12 in my school operettas.
Mhm.
Um, and I was Flounder in The Little Mermaid, and I was Wendy in Peter Pan, and then I was Belle in Beauty and the Beast. And so I kind of, after that, I got a role in the festival theater, the Stratford Festival in Carousel. And then I was in The Wizard of Oz in London at the Grand Theater. And then I was in another play in Grand Bend. And so I've been in lots of musical theater as a child. And then after that, I kind of switched my focus to pop, country, and contemporary music. So a little bit of all the genres, I guess.
Mhm.
But yeah, probably when I started taking my performing seriously as a vocalist is when I was probably about 14 years old, when I started doing shows and gigs and competitions. So yeah, that's probably about 14 years old.
Mhm. Yeah, describe the musical theater scene in which, you were a part of.
Yeah, so I started in Carousel. I believe I was 12 years old, and that was just incredible. It was overwhelming at first, and there was just lots of things going on all the time. But since we were all minors, we had like a child minder is what they're called.
Mhm.
And they kind of take care of the kids who are in the play. And so we got our own room, and there was a TV, there were movies, and it was really cool. So we got to hang out in there whenever we weren't on stage. And I always loved the dressing rooms. I thought they were really cool. And all of the dressing rooms are exactly like you see, like the old Hollywood style with the light bulbs around the
Oh
big
yeah.
mirror. And it's just so cool. So they come around and they do your hair and your makeup. And I had a hairpiece added. So it was kind of like a wig. And then I had a hat. It changed to a bow. And then there are lots of different like costumes I was in. But yeah, there's always unexpected stuff in theater that you're not really prepared for. So I was in the role when I was in Carousel of a snow child, which is like the child of Mr. and Mrs. Snow, which is the main character's best friend. There were like five of us, there were five kids. And then I was also hired as an understudy for another role in the beginning of the play as well. So I remember there was one night when one of the kids who I was an understudy for, she got very sick and she wasn't able to make it. And I hadn't practiced the role at all. And I was about to go on in front of thousands of people. So they called me
Wow.
an hour before the show,
Mhm.
and they made me like, I went in and they taught me the part, and they found an old costume in the festival warehouse and they sewed me into it because it was too big.
Mhm.
So they sewed it while it was on me, and I went on and I did the part. And it was a little nerve wracking because no one in the audience knew that I wasn't supposed to be playing the part. So I felt like I couldn't really mess up. But anyway, I think it went okay. So yeah, but there's always like unexpected stuff like that happens. So yeah, but it was really cool. And then yeah, so that's Carousel. And then the other two plays were awesome. In The Wizard of Oz, I had 8 different roles. So I was multiple different things. I had 8 different costumes. And Toto, then there was a real dog in the play. So Dorothy's dog, Toto. So he chased me across the stage in one scene, and he actually got his own dressing room, the dog. So it was very cool. The dog actually had an understudy. It was his
Oh.
sister, Tilly. Uh, and yeah, it was really cool just because he had been in like hundreds of productions of The Wizard of Oz before because he's been trained for the role of Toto, the dog. So anyway, he was so sweet. It was really cool working with like a live animal in a play. I'd never had that experience before, so that was very cool. And yeah, anyway, so I've had lots of musical theater experience, and each theater has been so different, but just the people you meet there, you're friends with for life. I still talk to all the people I was in plays with, and it's just so nice to make friends in the theater community. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that your experience, working in musical theater at a pretty young age help you with, your nervousness every time you're about to come up on the stage as a singer?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Since I started it so young, I it's weird to say, but like I don't think I've ever gotten nervous for a performance in the last 3 years.
Wow.
So it's really helped with my stage fright, especially just like performing in front of all of those people with all of them watching you and all of the, not even just theater, all the shows and performances that I've done, each one just makes me less nervous for the next one because it's just more experience. So, but yeah, the theater is definitely, it's really helped me with performing in front of people and not being nervous. Yeah.
Mhm. Gotcha. So describe your vocal training.
Well, I first started vocal training when I was in Carousel at the festival. They had a vocal coach come in to sing with us. And then I started doing private lessons with her.
Mhm.
Her name's Jenny Such, and she is so nice. She's more like classical musical theater voice training. So I did that for kind of like on and off for a couple years. And she did like so I had some professional musical theater, kind of classical, not as much classical, but yeah, some musical theater training. And I would perform in the Kiwanis Music Festival under different categories in musical theater and stuff like that. So yeah, and then I started doing lessons with Dana Manning, who
Mhm.
is a Canadian folk singer, songwriter. And I did mostly pop with her, pop and a bit of songwriting as well. So yeah, so I had kind of two different vocal coaches since I've been a performer, and they've both been very different. So yeah, it's kind of nice to do some different styles of people and find out what you like best and what works best for you.
Mhm. Who are some of the vocalists and singers you are inspired by?
Definitely Kelly Clarkson because her voice is amazing.
Mhm.
And I love Celine Dion and Ariana Grande as well. I think she can do so many cool things with her voice. Mariah Carey. I love Ed Sheeran and Sam Smith. I think he has an incredible voice as well. So
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of current people, but then I also love like Andrea Bocelli and like just a bunch of people. Josh Groban, I think they all
Mhm.
have fantastic voices. So just really people who focus on vocal performance, I look up to
Mhm.
because I don't know, they were role models for me when I was younger. So I would try to mimic them and what they do. So
Mhm.
yeah, those people are probably my biggest influences.
Mhm. I find that Christmas music, Christmas albums are always a great opportunity for a vocalist to try out their skills. And I've listened to some of the greatest. My favorite vocalists are the ones who does the best Christmas albums. And I'm not sure if Bocelli does Christmas albums, even although I've heard many of his
Sure.
operatic stuff, and he is just magnificent.
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you find is the appeal of the enduring appeal of Christmas songs? Like, we listen to these songs year in and year out, and we never seem to get tired of them. Yeah, what do you think is the
Yeah. I don't
special
know.
appeal of that?
I don't know. I feel like Christmas songs just kind of bring everyone together and they're such happy songs that I don't know, they just feel good when you listen to them and sing them. And I feel like everyone kind of loves Christmas time and winter. So you just want to kind of put on some nice Christmas tunes during the winter, and winter doesn't last all year long. So you've got 3 months before, or sorry, yeah, like 9 months of the year, I guess, isn't really Christmas season. So yeah, then you come back to Christmas music again. So yeah, I don't know. I just think it brings people together and it's just nice to listen to.
Mhm. Yeah, I know that when I was in Peterborough, winter was exquisitely and especially cold, and it lasted for a lot longer than I imagined because, again, Vietnam is a pretty hot country, so it took some time
Yeah.
for me to get used to it. So, what was winter like? What is winter like in Stratford?
Well, it can get pretty severe.
Yeah,
Stratford's a small town, so it doesn't have a lot of tall buildings to block the snow
right.
from coming in. Like Toronto, it's a little bit different because there's like all these skyscrapers and they kind of act as like shields for the
Mhm.
whole city. Like, so not as much snow gets in Toronto, but in a small town like Stratford, the winters can get pretty bad, especially if you're not used to the winters here.
Mhm.
I've grown up with it, so the winters here that other people find freezing are completely normal to me. Like one year it was like -30 and actually finally got to like -40 one year.
Wow.
And we thought it was like just any other day. And then anyone who was visiting was like, they thought they were gonna die outside because it was so cold. But yeah, no, the usual is like -25 here in the winter in Stratford. It's about -25-ish, which a lot of people find very cold. So yeah, but for
Um,
me, I don't know. I've grown up in that, so
mhm. Yeah, one of my favorite memories being in Canada is that I got to see snow for the first time in my life, in person. I think it started
yeah.
around November, and
Hmm.
it was great fun. I got to see it, and it was very beautiful, you know, um, my excitement lasted for a grand total of 2 weeks before, the streets are overwhelmed with snow, and then you got these snow
Hmm.
plowers, and then everything gets like really wet and dirty and all that.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I've never had the experience of driving in snow before. So I wonder if you can
Oh,
describe that to people
yeah.
who listen.
Well, in Stratford, especially in surrounding areas that aren't big cities, the roads get extremely, extremely icy in the winter.
Wow.
And a lot of people, especially if they're not from here, they drive like they normally would in the summer. And you have to learn a totally different form of driving. Like you have to start like pumping the brakes. And I actually like learned how to drive in the winter. So I'm
Mm,
thankful for that because if I learned in the summer, it would have been a little more difficult, like transitioning to winter driving. But
right, yeah.
it's a totally different kind of driving. The first snow and kind of when there's a bunch of ice on the road for the first time, there's a lot of accidents, and it's kind of like sad to see. I remember I was driving home one time and you'll see like a car buried in snow in the ditch. Like I saw that driving home from London one time. And so
Mhm.
you call the police and it's like, yeah. So it's definitely something to get used to. But yeah, the roads are really bad. They salt them several times a day. They put salt and sand down, but it's it's just difficult. You have to take on a new, like really cautious form of driving and go slow around corners and all that stuff, or else you're gonna cause an accident. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, I won't be surprised if I asked you what is your favorite holiday of the year and you answer Christmas. I'm hoping and I'm guessing it's Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
like
how
Christmas.
yeah, how do the Stratfordians celebrate Christmas?
Oh, it's so nice. Everyone gets a Christmas tree and there are lights everywhere. So literally every other house is fully lit up with Christmas lights. So we wrap our tree in Christmas lights and then we have like a garland with bows and everything. And everyone on our street, basically everyone puts up Christmas lights and all around Stratford. So what we like to do is kind of like right before Christmas, we go driving around and we look at all the Christmas lights and we try and find our favorites. So
Mhm.
we drive around all of Stratford, which doesn't take too long because it's not very big. Um, so yeah, there's so many beautiful lights. That's what I love probably the most about Christmas in Stratford. And also just the events that are happening. There'll be like like winter markets and stuff downtown by City Hall, and there'll be hot chocolate stands, and it's just like so nice and like cozy
Mhm.
feeling in Stratford during the Christmas season. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think the warmest of all of that is the fact that the family is together, both the
Yeah.
the inner and the extended one. And
Yeah.
I'm you
Definitely.
know I didn't really appreciate that. Well, one, because Christmas is not really that big of a deal in Hanoi, and two, because I was far away from home for years, and I spent all four of these Christmases by myself, even though I was invited to a couple of houses, uh, friends and friends and their relatives for Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't really appreciate that until actually I actually
Yeah, it's
spent.
really nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's nice in Canada,
Mhm.
Christmas.
Yeah, I'm guessing you will be spending some time with your family this Christmas as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be going home for the week probably.
Mhm. Was celebrating Christmas difficult or different during COVID times?
Um, Not necessarily. Our family sometimes comes home for Christmas, so they weren't able to. They live
Okay.
in Tacoma, Washington, which is the other side of the states.
Mhm.
So they weren't able to come home, but they did come home this past Christmas when things were starting to lift, like the restrictions and everything. But other than that, for our family, it wasn't much different. We were kind of in a bubble, I guess, with my grandma. It was just our family and grandma over
Mhm.
for Christmas morning for I guess the 2 years that COVID was. So yeah, it wasn't too different, honestly. Just kind of, it was just different, like going out for walks because everyone had their masks on. And
Right. Yeah.
it was kind of, I just noticed that usually on Christmas morning, we always go for like a walk in the afternoon or whatever. And we would always say hi to everyone, would say hi to each other and Merry Christmas when we're walking down the street. And I noticed that we didn't really do that during COVID because people were nervous to
Yeah.
kind of even talk to each other because they didn't want to get any germs on anyone.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was just kind of a little bit more depressing than usual, but I'm really excited for this Christmas. And this past Christmas was also nice as well. It wasn't as isolating, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I actually spent last year's Christmas with my family because thankfully I got to go home before Christmas, and yeah,
It's nice.
we had the best of times.
Oh,
So, yeah, so going back to your music, what are some of your favorite songs that you recorded on that album, Christmas Don't Be Late?
well, the prayer was probably one of my favorites because I got to take my dad to the studio and he is a mason. So he does like specialty stonework and he's not a musician. So he had never been in a recording studio before. He'd never done anything like that. And so he went in and he was all nervous. And it was really exciting because the engineer was there and then the producer, Dana, and a couple instrumentalists. So it was just really fun to like kind of watch him. And then when he heard himself back, and they played, like I would sing, they recorded it, then he would sing, they recorded it, and then they put it together and played it for us. And he just like, I think there was a tear in his eye. He thought it was like the best thing ever. So yeah, that song is my favorite, especially the recording process of it, just because it was so special having my dad in the studio with me. But the other songs that I love on the album are is the song Christmas Don't Be Late, because it kind of
Mhm.
goes from like slow and then it goes super upbeat all of a sudden and you're not expecting it. So I love that one. And that's actually from the Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
not a traditional Christmas song.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, anyway, I thought that was really cool to include on the album because we could make it totally different than the one in the Alvin and the Chipmunks movie. Um, and I also love God Rest You Merry Gentlemen. I think the arrangement of that is really cool, and I love all of the horns in it. And yeah, honestly, those are probably some of my favorites. I also love um All I Want for Christmas Is You, the
Mhm.
Mariah Carey song,
Yeah, of
because
course.
doesn't love that Christmas song. So yeah,
Yeah. So,
it's probably
who handled, I'm guessing your producer, Dana Manning, handled the instrumentals for, the album. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So she got everything, all of the artists, I guess, like arranged for who was going to be playing what. And a lot of them are from the festival theater.
Mhm.
So they're in the orchestra for all the plays in Stratford. So yeah, just incredible musicians. And yeah, we had lots of amazing musicians. The drummer, Davide Dorenzo, he plays drums in the song Life is a Highway.
Mm, wow.
So yeah, there's like some great musicians that are on the album. And I just like the recording process of the album. It was so cool. Like with all the instrumentalists, we actually recorded the bass, piano, guitar, and what else was it? And one other instrument. We recorded it in a chicken barn
Mm,
of our friends because it was away from any roads and it was kind of far back. So it was this like empty chicken barn that my dad's friends have on their farm. And so we set up all of the recording equipment in there to record the kind of the root instruments for the album
mhm.
in the chicken barn. And it was just really cool because whenever we tell people that, they're like, you recorded the album in a chicken barn? And like it sounds so weird to say, but yeah, like we recorded some of the instruments. It was a really great acoustic place, but it's actually really funny. Um, there were crickets like running around in the barn and we were recording, so you couldn't have like a cricket sound on the album or it'd have to be like taken out. So I was like running around catching these big crickets on the ground and then I'd have to like throw them outside so we could record quick before another one came in and started chirping. So yeah, it was really funny. And then we all had lunch, but yeah, the recording process was really fun and the musicians on the album are just absolutely incredible.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, you know, recording in a chicken barn, it has a very Christmassy feel to it, and it really fits the album
Yeah.
since, Christ was born in a barn. Not
Yeah.
not a chicken barn per se, but a barn
Yes, but a barn.
presumably with
Yeah,
chicken nonetheless. Um,
exactly.
so do you play any musical instruments? If not, would you like to play a musical instrument?
I As of now, I don't play any musical instruments, but like I took a bit of piano when I was younger and I played a little bit of ukulele and guitar, but if I'd like to learn one instrument, it would definitely be the piano because I think especially for the style of music that I like to sing, it would be really helpful for me to be able to accompany myself. And I think it's also great knowing an instrument um, for when you're songwriting because it's so much easier. You can play a tune and sing along instead of making up a tune in your head, then singing along to that. It's just a little bit more difficult if you can't play an instrument. So, yeah, I'm hoping to learn how to just like play the keyboard a little bit. So,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah, and that'll be great. The
Yeah.
combination of piano and vocals is something that has
Yeah.
been done many times and brilliantly by many vocalists. I'm thinking of
Yeah.
Lady Gaga. Um,
Oh,
yeah, I've gradually become a fan of hers especially in recent years after she starred in the Star is Born movie.
Yeah, after that movie, I became like a true Lady Gaga fan.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, I have a friend who lives in Canada who has been a fan of Lady Gaga's for like a lot longer than I am, and yeah, he appreciates her vocals as well as her acting talents too. Um, so
Yeah.
tell me about this doc music series that you have been doing. I think I think you posted on
Yeah.
socials that you had to stop doing it probably last month or 2 months ago. But yeah, what is it?
hmm Yeah, so I started doc music at the beginning of COVID when everything was kind of just so dull and there was like absolutely zero music in our community. And it was so weird because Stratford is such a musical city. So everything just kind of immediately stopped. And like you could tell how kind of depressing it was. It was almost like this dark cloud just kind of like was hovering above Stratford and everyone was just, it just seemed sad and miserable. So I had the idea with my mom. Like I was practicing in the basement, and she's like, "Wouldn't it be cool if you like took your speaker outside and just practice outside so people could listen?" I was like, "Yeah, that would be cool," but like I didn't really think anything of it. Like I was like, "Oh, I don't know, it seems kind of weird." But then she's like, you could like make a little show out of it almost, and people like people walking by could watch." I was like, "Actually, that's not like a bad idea." So I posted about it, and one Sunday I went out at 7 p.m. and I only did 4 songs that day, like I just to kind of like give it a try, and I ended the performance with the prayer. Um just a solo, and it got a huge round of applause from people. People stopped and they parked and they started listening, and there were like lots of people there. And then I did it the next week, and then the week after that. And then the fourth week, I believe, my mom jumped in a kayak and she went out and she live streamed it on Facebook.
Wow.
And the viewers just like kept going up and up and up on Facebook. So people were promoting it and sharing it on Stratford Life, which is like half of Stratford's on there. It's like a Facebook group. And so hundreds of people started coming in person to the concerts, and thousand would watch online. Like it was just awesome. And so anyway, I ended up doing, I believe, 12 shows every Sunday night at 7. And each show I would end with the prayer because I thought it just so perfectly kind of fit the time we were in. Like we all needed a little bit of a prayer. So I thought that it was the perfect song to end each show with. And I got so many comments and compliments from people of how much that song meant to them, and how when they heard me sing it they cried, and how like it was just so perfect for the time we were going through. And then I brought my dad out to sing it with me, and because my mom thought it would be a great idea to do a duet of the prayer, and I was like, that'd be great, but I don't know who would do the Andrea Bocelli part. And my dad walks in the living room and he goes, "I'll do it." And we just look at him and we're like, "Are you serious? Like really? You're like, really?" And he's like, "Yeah, why not?" And so we thought he was joking. And then he asked to practice. And so we practiced and practiced and practiced. And then finally, he actually went out with me, and he is not a performer. So he was extremely nervous.
Mhm.
So yeah. And then he did a duet with me, and it got such a great response from people. And yeah, people were going crazy wondering when he was going to come out and do a duet with me again. So yeah. So anyway, doc music, that was the first season. And then I did it the second season, for the second summer in a row. And I got a bunch of sponsors from around Stratford. So
Mhm.
I kind of made it into a little business. And then I did it this past summer as well. So yeah, doc music's been running now for 3 seasons, but I ended doc music about a month ago because I was getting ready to go to school and our family was going on a little holiday. So I only did 8 shows this past summer instead of 12. And yeah, anyway, I think doc music is has come to an end now, but I might come out next summer for 1 or 2 performances because people have been requesting that I do that. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Oh,
but that's kind of how doc music got started. So
it does sound like the loveliest thing I've ever heard. And I really wish I could have been there, if not for our geographical differences. And,
yeah.
I remember I've spent 2 summers in Canada because of COVID and I didn't get to go home. And, 7 p.m. the sun was setting, but, it was still pretty bright outside. And I
Mhm.
remember during the summer solstice, especially, it didn't get dark until 9:30, which was unbelievable,
Yeah.
right? And summers in Hanoi, I mean, the latest that it gets, bright out was 7 p.m. But yeah, I'm
Oh,
guessing,
wow.
yeah, I'm guessing, the it was perfect timing for, to hear such lovely vocals from yours, especially in such a location at that time of day.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah, it was awesome. People said that they could hear it so well, like the sound just carried across the river and it was sunset
mhm,
pretty much. Like the sun was setting when I did my, and yeah, they just said it was beautiful. So people would bring their lawn chairs and sit on the other side of the river so they could socially distance from each other and listen on the beautiful river to some
mhm,
music while the sun was setting. So it was kind of the absolute perfect location. And it's right in my backyard as well. So yeah, it couldn't have been more perfect actually.
mhm. Yeah, it gets lovelier every time, the more you describe it. So tell me about meeting. Yeah. So of course, you were nominated for the award, and well, so tell us about the experience meeting your fellow nominees. Yeah.
Oh, that was really cool. So we were in the Young Performer of the Year category, so we were obviously the youngest people there. So we met all the adults in the other categories as well, which was really nice. But it was really cool meeting other musicians who were like the same age as you, because you could kind of connect with them and, see what they like to do. And yeah, it's just nice being able to know that other people your age are into the exact same thing as you and they've been nominated for the same thing and they have albums and you have an album and it's like it's
Mhm.
just really cool. So I became like friends with all of them and now we all follow each other on
Nice.
social media. And yeah, it's really great. It was a super experience meeting all of them.
Mhm. Yeah, the first of them that I actually get to know was Irish Millie. She plays the fiddle.
Irish Millie, she's so nice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, she lived in the same town that I was in, Peterborough, and I was aware of her music probably the early 2021, early of last year, and she was actually she was gracious enough to be a guest on this program, the first among the nominees, as I like to call them,
Yeah.
and it was before the release of her album, and again, like I said before, she was nominated for the award, and I would catch her was it once every 2 weeks performance at a pub that is close to downtown Peterborough, which is close to where I live, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, she has always been amazing, and her mom was heavily involved in her musical pathway, and her dad played with her almost all the time. Yeah, and yeah, she's a lovely human being and a brilliant musician. Yeah, so side question.
Yeah.
Once you've mastered the piano or at least learned to play it, well enough, which song would you like to do to play on it first?
Oh, I don't know. I actually love the song Say Something.
Nice.
And there's this amazing version of it done by Bianca Ryan,
Okay.
who she was on I forget which singing show it was, but was it American Idol or something like that. And she does an incredible version. So I would love to sing the song Say Something by Christina Aguilera.
Mhm.
And I believe it's by Christina Aguilera. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Um, yeah. Anyway, I would love to do that one and play it on the piano.
Mhm. Have you imagined yourself meeting a person whom you idolize, and what what would be the first thing you would say to him slash her?
I haven't really imagined it because I don't know, I can't even imagine that happening, but I guess it could happen. But yeah, I guess I don't even know who I would love to meet, but I would love to meet a lot of people. I'd love to meet Celine Dion. I'd love to meet her. And honestly, I would really, really love to meet Kelly Clarkson. And I think it would be cool to meet Ed Sheeran as well. But I don't know what I would say to them. I'd probably say, "Hi, I'm Hannah. I've looked up to you my whole life and I love your music. And yeah, I'm a singer as well. So yeah, I don't know what I would say to them, but it'd be really cool to meet them."
Mhm. Yeah, that sounds perfect. So, final question. So what does music mean to you?
Oh, I've been asked that question a lot, and honestly, it's kind of a hard question to answer, but music to me means happiness and joy, honestly, because whenever I'm listening to or performing music, there's nowhere else I would rather be, and there's nothing else I'd rather be doing because I'm just so immersed in the music. And it's just kind of, it takes me away to like a little faraway world where I'm just so peaceful. So music is just everything to me. That's kind of a basic answer, but honestly, it is kind of everything to me. And it's just so nice to be able to have music in my life because I think it makes everything just so much better. Like music, you listen to it when you're happy, you listen to it when you're sad, and singing always puts me in a fantastic mood. So, yeah, music to me means happiness.
Mhm. Well, with that being said, and I think that's a lovely question, answer. Sorry, I think I would probably, I couldn't put it better myself. With that being said, thank you very much, Hannah Thomas, for being on this program. Thank you
Thank you
for
so much for
sharing
having me.
your music to the world, and I wish you the best with your schoolwork. And I look forward to hearing whatever music you put out next.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, the pleasure is all mine.